Hey guys, in this short video we're going to create a realistic eye, and we're just doing one of the eyes just to show pretty much a close-up of the details that go into all the shading, the highlighting, uh, the eyelashes, the eyebrow, and pretty much getting really close and trying to make it as realistic as possible. So first we're starting out with an almond shape, and we're going to be drawing, in this case this is the person's left eye, and the corner of the eye is right here, and you kind of want to make the corner short little or a small little triangle shape, because you want to kind of make it pointy. And some people have these, some people don't have that, but for our eye, let's go ahead and create a little pointy end here where the tear ducts go. Okay, so the upper eyelid or the upper eyelash line is this, and we're going lightly because we want to create some guidelines at first. So we're sketching really light, and then we're going to add shadow and depth and details at the very end. So let's go ahead and create the upper eyelid, and we're keeping the shape nice and simple, just a curved line. And let's do the eyebrow. I'll adjust the camera on a little bit. So I'm just sketching loosely, trying to figure out where I want the eyebrow to go, what kind of shape I want it to have. So I'm following the shape of the direction of the eye going upwards, but up here about 2/3 up the way, I kind of want to angle it a little steep, and I just have a preference for these kind of eyebrows that just look a little bit more dramatic. A lot of the superheroes, male or female, will have a little bit of exaggeration up on top here, and this part of the eyebrow will be a little bit thicker. So you can see the eyebrow, we could have went with a nice round curvy shape, but that would have been too boring. So I wanted to make it more interesting, and I decided to give it a little bit more of a unique shape. Now the eye is a three-dimensional object, so we're going to want to see the inside part of the lids, which is right in here, because there is a dimension, this part and this part on the bottom. So, and you can definitely see them at the corners of the eye, and sometimes they'll just blend in on the bottom because we're looking straight on, so you won't really see that much of a lip, but you'll see the upper a little bit. And we want to create a section for the tear ducts and make a line here kind of separating the actual eyeball from the face part. And it's always a good idea to create the lower eyelid or a little bit of a shadow, but you want to be careful and go light and not make them look like the person hasn't slept in days. So, but it's always a good idea to have something down here, because in reality everyone has, most people have a little bit of a skin fold underneath the eye, and it's just natural. So, but of course the darker part will be the upper eyelid here. And next step we're going to do is create the iris. So we don't want to put it in the center. We can. If you do that, the eye isn't really looking right at you. It's looking off like this direction. We want the eyeball to be looking right at you this direction, like that. So in order to do that, we have to just move it a little bit to the right. So let's redraw our iris. Just a little bit offset from the center of this guy, because the face is really pointing this way, but her pupil or her eye is actually looking straight at you. And that's what we want to do. And it's kind of interesting the effect that you can create if you draw the right angle of the almond shape, the eyebrow, and get the iris placed at just the right spot. I'm probably going to need to break this video down into different parts. It's probably going to be ending up as a course. So this is the first lesson on just getting the basic shapes of the eye down, and we're already past 6 minutes. So I'm just going to add some more shapes here and try to wrap up this lesson. So we're just placing the pupil of the eye right in the middle of the iris. So you want to center your circles, and also notice that the upper part of the circle is hidden by the upper eyelid. So the bottom part of the circle, you can see it completely. Sometimes you'll see it less if this line is higher, and that just means that the person has her eyes more closed than open. So, and it's just another facial feature or an exaggeration that we can create. But we're creating a fully open eyeball. So, and we're going to just quickly fill this guy in. Now we want to create an area for the highlight for later, but let's go ahead and just place that. And just another dot. We're going to put one here in the upper corner and a small one down here. So later on we'll bring those back. They're going to be covered with all the detail. So let's just shade in this part of the iris, because there's always shadow hitting it. Most of the time. So we have our light source coming from above. It hits the upper eyelid, and the eyelashes, and that's going to create the shadow right here. So let's draw our guideline for the shadow line, and just lightly using hatching, kind of quickly fill in the top part. And we're using an H pencil the whole time we're drawing with. So this is actually a 2H. So later on we're going to switch to a HB and get our darks. And notice I'm not doing any details, no details at all whatsoever. No eyelashes, that comes later. Right now it's more important to get your shapes down, the position of things, the eyebrow, upper eyelid line, eyelash line, iris, pupil, highlight, shadow, corner of the eye, lower part of the eye. Just gently add some shadow so you can see it come together. And we're still sketching. I'm not really shading it as much. I'm just laying down something to help me go by later. So this is pretty much the start of making a realistic eye, and later on we'll fix things and correct it in the next videos. Hey guys, so here we are in the second video of drawing a realistic eye. So let's just go ahead and jump on in. If you didn't get a chance to see the first one, I highly recommend to watch the first video, and it shows you what I did to get to the step. And in this video we're going to build up our shading, add some value, and at the very end work on our details. So here we go. So I'm using a 2H pencil, which is a hard lead pencil, and I'm just putting shadows using a quick hatching technique. And this is one of the best ways I like to create my values in shading. I use hatching, but at the same time I cross hatch, and by doing so I'm able to create an even tone and filling all these little gaps. So if you don't get the gaps filled in the first hatching, when you cross hatch, you're actually covering up those smaller spaces, and you just kind of switch it up and keep doing it back and forth very lightly, and you're going to end up with an even tone. I'm going to go ahead and create a nicer value for the upper eyelid. And one of the methods I use to shade is how you hold the pencil. I'm holding it this way so I can do this, and this is for general large areas. I'm right-handed, so I tend to go generally in the direction up to the upper right when I first do my hatching. But then I have to switch this way and create some cross hatching. So when I'm going this way, initially my hand is in this position, and then I switch it up because I want to control the same movement of my hatching. So I'm always going like this, and now I'm going like this. I can already see what I need to fix a little bit. I want to move this eyebrow a little bit higher, so we're going to erase a little bit of this and just kind of move the eyebrow up a little bit. And for this, we're going to use a kneaded eraser. Here I just have a small piece of one. You can actually tear these apart, break them up into smaller chunks if you have to. And they do come in different sizes. Small size, and then there's a larger size, and large is too big to use. So I like getting the larger pieces and just breaking those in half. So what I'm doing to erase the brow is I'm creating a wedge shape because I want to use it like a brush, and I just gently rub it. There's no need to do this. You want to create brush strokes. So when you're erasing, it's almost like you're painting. You want to paint the paper back into your sketch. Okay, and don't worry about these ghost lines. And ghost lines is just a term I refer to when you erase and the lighter lines go away, but the darker ones tend to stay in place. And that's okay, because you can actually work around that. All you need to do is just shade, add more layers of graphite around the ghost areas, and eventually at the very end of your drawing, you can actually fade that away and camouflage it as if it were never there. And that's one of the benefits of drawing with pencil. So now that that's pretty much out of the way here, what I want to do is I want to keep this part because I like that. But I want to move this one a little bit higher, like so, and draw in the tail end of her eyebrow up here. So I still have some ghosting in here that I need to get rid of, so just using a very fine edge tip of my kneaded eraser. Just using more pressure to really get that erased. And just layer down a lighter tone of your pencil graphite. Some light hatching will do the trick. Okay. Now I'm gently going to fill in a light tone of her eyebrow. Now when I'm drawing on a table, I tend to move my paper, shift it just a little bit where I need to, and it's okay to do that. You actually want to do that. But since I have the drawing set up on an easel for the video purpose, I'm just keeping it up. It makes it a little bit harder for me to draw some areas when it's up on the easel, but when it's on the table, I'll turn the page. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm switching over to the darker contrast, and I want to create my dark values now, and just so I can know where to find them, because I have a light drawing here, and in order for it to pop out, I'm switching over to the darkest areas, and that's going to help me to find the middle tones. So I'm not going too dark, I'm just going dark enough to know where my darkest shadows are. So again, I'm going to speed up the video, and I'll explain when I'm a little bit more further along. Okay, so here I just worked on some line work, and now that I have it darker, I can go ahead and start doing some shading. And by that, I'm just going to add more layers of graphite and start blending. So we started with our light tones, which are here, and now we have our contrasts, which is pretty much just the outline work, enhanced some by going darker. But some of these areas can actually be faded, and if we need to erase to fix some of the values, we can do so with the kneaded eraser. So I'm going to speed up the video again. Okay, so all I did was pretty much added a lot of values and shading to get the blends to look a little better, and I did this all with simply just hatching and cross hatching. I haven't even started to manually blend my pencils yet, and you can do that with a pencil stump, but I tend to use my finger, but I tend to clean my tips after I blend it, so I can just be careful with that. It's okay, you can use your fingers. I know some people will say don't use your fingers, but I've been doing this for years, so that's just a habit that I have. And if I go too much, I switch over to this, and I just go back and forth, erasing, blending, and erasing. You can use a piece of tissue, which works, cotton swabs, or a little stump to blend, but I use those for small detail areas. So that's pretty much it for this lesson. In the final video, I'm going to go ahead and add details into the iris and do a little bit of blending. Okay, so in our last video, we created some values and tones by layering more graphite and creating our shadows. So notice that I filled in the white part of the eye. It's not really truly white because you want the highlight to be the brightest area, because that's a reflection of light. And typically it's really glossy, the whole thing, but since this is a bulging part of the eye, or the part that sticks out further, it tends to get the shine. But if her iris is over here, the shine will still be here. So and also there's a lens that's covering the iris, so that creates another bulge, which tends to catch more of the reflections. But anyways, you can use one highlight, you can use two of them. Two is just more dramatic, that just means there's two light sources. So, but overall, the light is generally coming from above. So, what I've done earlier already is I created some details in the iris, and these are just markings that kind of are pretty random, but I've looked at a lot of details of the eyes, and what they all have in common is these all tend to be organic looking strands, so, or fibers, and some are darker than others, but as a general rule you want to kind of create them evenly spaced out. So that's what I'm doing right here. And they're all pointing towards the middle of the eye. So it's more or less like a radial pattern. And some are smaller little markings or dots, and every iris is different. But there's so much detail that you can add to this part. We're not going to go in too heavily, because it also kind of affects the color of the eye, or in our case of black and white pencil drawing, the value of it. So one thing I do want to do right now is I want to lighten up the white part of the eye. So I'm going to take my kneaded eraser, make a flat edge, and I'm just going to dab just where I want to. I'm not smudging it, I'm not moving it, I'm just going down and lifting. So down and lift, and it's very gentle. And that's enough pressure to pick up some of this graphite. This is the lightest erasing you can ever do with a kneaded eraser. Just dab and pick up. So now I'm going to do a little bit of blending here. So I have generally a clean finger, and when I use my fingers to blend, I only want to blend in certain areas and then stop. Now I'm not going too hard, just very lightly, and you can see I just picked up this much, and that's all I want to do. So it's time to clean my finger. Okay, so my finger's clean, time to go back to work. Using my HB pencil. Adding some more details of her eyebrow, and a lot of eyebrows have different patterns of hair, but I've tend to notice that they start out going this way at the beginning of the brow, and then they kind of converge in the middle here, and then you have hairs going from below going this way, and hairs from above joining in. So I just tend to keep to this pattern, and it helps to create a more realistic looking eyebrow. Now the eyelashes, let's go ahead and start doing those. I'm going to use a bigger pencil. Okay, here what I have is a woodless graphite pencil, and these are kind of cool because there's no wood. The whole thing is graphite, and you can sharpen them with a regular pencil sharpener. And these are great for doing large strokes. As you can tell, you can really wear down the tip, and it just adds for a different effect. I don't want to use my mechanical pencil for the eyelashes because it would be too skinny. This is a very large eye drawing that we have here, as you can tell. So this is one of my bigger tips, and it's also an HB, so it's going to stay really dark. And what I want to do is the eyelashes on the eye, they don't go all in one direction. That's a common mistake a lot of artists do when they're starting out. So I did that myself. Eyelashes don't go in one direction. They actually come out at you. So we're looking at a three-dimensional eye on a piece of paper, but if it were a photograph, you would see the strands of eyelash going this way in this direction and going that way in this direction. So the ones on the right, of course, are going to go more to the right. The ones in the middle are going to go straight up because they're at the center of the curve, and the ones on the left are going to go to the left. But they don't come all the way out. They just barely show up. And that's because we're at a straight on view. So I'm just going to create a few to show you. And I'm trying to mimic the natural curve of what the eyelash is really doing. It starts here and it's going this way. So we're doing like little J's or little U's right in here, and out here they're longer U's. And they overlap. And the ones on the farther end of the eye, they're a lot longer. And that's either natural or due to makeup, mascara, that kind of stuff. The ones in the center aren't as long. And also, I'm making them random. They're not even, they're not perfect. They're kind of doing their own thing, but some of these eyelashes will clump together as they will do naturally if she has like mascara on. Typically she will. But even without mascara, natural eyelashes tend to do that. It's just a natural pattern. And this adds to that realistic effect that we're going after. And you see how thick I can get these strokes because my tip of my pencil is almost flat. It's almost rounded. So it's going to help out with the bottom eyelashes. Now they're smaller and they're fewer. So what I tend to do, I tend to go really short and I spread them out even more. Now the ones in here are very small and very few. You want to start small first and then you can make them bigger if you want to. But typically the lower eyelashes are not as big as the upper ones. Okay, so that's all I want to do for the eyelashes. I don't want to get too carried away, and I don't want to go too dark either, because that will take away from that realistic look. You always want to go light and then go dark. So that keeps your mistakes down to a minimum. Just like the pupil here, it wasn't dark enough, but now I'm able to go darker. I'm just going to lift the paper because I think the light from the room is creating a shine because of the graphite. So, but this is what it really looks like here. I'm going to rotate the easel just a little bit so I can focus on the dark areas. Okay, here you have a much better angle. Now the pupil of the eye, this part, is the darkest area of the face. It's even darker than the eyelashes, but unless she has some really black, dark mascara, you don't have to be as dark. But this guy does. It just makes for a more dramatic looking eye. Okay, so I'm going to speed up the video again and just finalize the details, and it'll be done. Okay, so I had to adjust the camera one more time here. So just trying to find that right angle. So at this point, our eye is pretty much done, and I switched over back to my 2H pencil, and I can even go on further. I can keep going with this drawing and just keep adding very fine layers or light layers of graphite over the drawing and really get my shading more perfect, more blended too. I can get more detailed in here and really get down to the nitty-gritty of the drawing, and I can make it hyper realistic if I wanted to, which just takes more time. That's all really what entails. So, but for the purpose of this video, we're going to go ahead and stop right here and just doing some last minute touches. So to recap, in order to make a drawing look really good, it pretty much can come down to just two things. The foundation, which is the structure of your drawing. If you can get things to be in the right place, that's the most important part. Just like when you're in architecture or engineering, you want to have your planning part down, and you want to be able to know where to place things. And once they're placed, then you can add the details on top of that. And in the structure of the eye, we did the eye shape first, put everything in place, and then we started just shading everything on in and controlling your values by using shading techniques is really the other part of drawing that you really need to practice on. And in shading, all I do for hatching are simply quick, light strokes going in the same direction. That's all this is. When you can go real light, you can create light tones, light textures. And a lot of students will tend to just kind of randomly do that, and you really don't want to do that. You want to really control your stroke. Straight lines, tightly packed, close together. Then you can change direction. And if they're straight, and if they're parallel, and if they're tight, you can create the illusion of tone, which is what you're actually doing if you keep adding layers. I'll demonstrate with my H pencil. This is the stuff that you want to practice. That's all shading really is, and once you can practice this, then you can control it, and you can kind of go this way and start drawing a shape as you're shading. It just helps with your drawing methods a lot. It's just one technique, so that's what I'm using to create this drawing here. So here you have it. This is a final video on drawing a realistic eye. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you have any questions or comments, just go ahead and leave them down below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. I have more videos coming, and hope to see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.